Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Grindhouse, where we drink coffee and talk about movies. My name is Shawn, and with my girlfriend and co-host Leah Diana, today we're going to be winding back the reel to 1990, when a species of South American killer spider hitches a lift to the U.S. in a coffin and starts to breed and kill in Arachnophobia. Let's get into it.
From Hollywood Pictures and Amblin Entertainment, when Dr. Ross Jennings and his family decide to move to the country,
Oh, Ross, smell that air.
they thought they'd found the perfect little town.
How are you finding life here?
But instead,
It's all rotten down there.
I'll call the exterminator.
they're getting more
Would anybody object if I tore this floor out?
I would.
False alarm, then lead on.
than anyone's bargained for.
I think we got a big problem here in Goodman.
Now, experts are moving in,
Rock and roll!
and neighbors are moving out.
There may be some spiders around here that are very dangerous.
This is way out of my league.
He believes he came across one of the offending spiders a couple hours ago.
Actually, it's probably still in the bottom of my shoe.
It's a roller coaster ride you'll never forget. Arachnophobia, the most fun you'll have being scared.
Hello.
Spread the word, you dirty cocksuckers. Tell all your grave robbing friends I want them out of the city now!
The nightmare of insane murder. From the depths of hell. Screaming angel of death. Only at the Grindhouse.
Itsy bitsy spider.
I'll kill you.
Hello, Leah.
Hello, Shawn.
I take it you did not enjoy today's film.
What gives that away? The fact that for the entirety of the movie, I was hitting you with pillows and screaming, "Dear God, fucking why?"
I mean, I honestly thought you were gonna have a little more fun with this one.
I hate spiders. Guys, do you see how far away the mic is from me? I'm going to be yelling, so I'm going to save your ears. It's still picking me up, so it's fine. But I hated this movie. Did I peek?
I'm
I
gonna
didn't
make
peek.
a
That's
just
fine.
small adjustment here, just in case you
Go off.
go a little too loud.
Oh, well.
Yeah. I definitely did not expect the reaction that I got out of you with this one. I thought you'd have a little more fun with it. I didn't think you were this afraid of spiders.
I avoided this movie my entire life. I don't hate spiders. I'm okay with spiders. Like, spiders are cool. When they're in the house, I try not to kill them. I try to relocate them back outside. But if it is a big boy, if it is a bitey boy, no, sir. Bye, get out of my house. As you say, sorry, little dude, you're not paying rent. Get out.
All right. Well, today we took a look at 1990's Arachnophobia. It is definitely a film that if you are horrifically afraid of spiders, I would probably try to avoid.
Don't watch this.
This movie was directed by Frank Marshall. It stars Jeff Daniels, Julian Sands, Harley Jane Kozak, and John Goodman. However, it features so many other actors that you would know from 1,000 other things.
Yeah, I didn't know anybody's names, but I was like, oh, I know her, I know him.
It's a bunch of that guys and that girls.
Yup, I know that dude.
I actually believe I took note of them, or at least of a couple of them. 1 second here. So yeah, some of the other people I recognize, I didn't know their names right off the bat, but was Roy Brocksmith, Peter Jason, Mark L. Taylor, Stuart Pankin, Kathy Kinney. Like a lot of these people, like Let me just equate names to faces real quick here. But let's see. So Stuart Pankin, for example, he plays kind of the dick sheriff in this movie, Parsons.
Yeah.
Who he's in 1,000 movies, and he always plays this kind of asshole character.
Yeah. He's
like pompous for no reason because he's this short, fat man.
The douchebag who thinks he has power, but he actually really doesn't have shit.
Mark Taylor, he was the guy at the beginning of this movie who has the fever. He's like the first one to get killed. But thousands of roles, small parts like this, he's played throughout the years, and I always recognize his face. Peter Jason was the in this he was the gym coach.
Okay.
Generally he usually plays like these stuck up like politicians and stuff in movies.
Was he in How I Met Your Mother? Was he the dad?
No, he looks a lot like that guy.
He does look like Colby Smothers, Robin's dad. He looks a lot like Robin's dad, but it's not him. Okay.
Roy Brocksmith, I know personally from Total Recall. He's infamous in that movie. He plays like the guy who comes to Arnold Schwarzenegger's character and tries to convince him that he's in a dream world. And his role in that is like known throughout the sci-fi community as like infamous. His wife in this movie is Kathy Kinney. I forget what I know her best from. It was some TV show. I want to say it was like the Drew Carey show, maybe. She played like the...
Wasn't Mimi, was it?
Mimi, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because she didn't have the makeup that Mimi wore. Mimi was like infamous for just like, oh, is this a makeup palette? Like, hello.
It's funny because she's in this movie, but like that was the height of her career, and it's at around the same time. Mary Carver, I recognize from 1,000 movies, always playing this.
That was Margaret, right?
Yeah, this older
I kind
woman.
of recognized her. I was like, oh, she's like the sweet old lady down the lane.
In a lot of ways, I think like in the 90s, this would have been like kind of an ensemble piece.
Yeah.
Smaller in scale, but definitely an ensemble piece.
It's definitely, this cast is overshadowed by the Spider.
This movie, this is one I remember fondly from growing up. Mostly because it skeeved me out.
I'm sorry, something skeeved you out? That's shocking.
Yes, and I think there's a lot of reasons why it skeeved me out.
I can think of 8 reasons.
Are they the legs? This movie, for me, like, I've always felt like it felt very real in a lot of ways. Like, not just because of the situation, like, everybody's afraid of spiders in some form or fashion. Like, I'm not deathly afraid of them, but I don't want them on me. I don't really want them in my house.
No, but you're okay with getting a tarantula.
I don't know if I'd ever actually do that. It's something that's cool in my head.
They're cool. They move very slow, and I like that. But the fact that after watching this, no spiders. No spiders, no spiders, none.
This movie, like, the climax, which we'll get to, is the thing that always stands out the most to me. Because it's like being in that situation, surrounded by like fucking hundreds of spiders, is terrifying.
I'm in my happy place right now, and I'm trying to ignore this entire conversation because I can just, like, the hair on your leg and like your arm, like everything's twitching right now, and I feel like I'm covered in spiders.
So this movie was made on a budget of $22 million.
Well, they had to go to South America, so makes sense.
And turned in a box office of $53.2 million.
So it was a commercial success.
Commercial success. I think it found an even bigger success on home video.
Oh God, yeah.
I remember I didn't see this in the theaters at the time.
Who would want to see this in theaters?
I would love to see this in theaters.
That big boy general spider would have been this big.
Oh yeah.
No.
I would love that.
No, you're seeing that alone, sweetheart.
Oh, come on.
By yourself.
Now, Frank Marshall, as I said, directed this movie. That's a name I recognize, but I'm not super familiar with his filmography.
Is he related to the other Marshalls? Penny and... What is the brother's name?
Oh, this was his directing debut.
Okay.
Before this, he had done nothing else, but he went on to direct 8 Below in 2006.
Don't know what that is.
It was a movie starring Paul Walker, I think, and Sled Dogs.
I've never seen anything with Paul Walker.
And before that, he did the Michael Crichton novel Congo.
That's why that first set is so fucking familiar. They reused that set.
They probably reused it, for sure.
Because one of my exact lines was, why does this look like Congo?
Because it basically is.
This movie surprised me in, like, little ways. I will say that.
How so?
We'll get to it, but I fucking freaked out at one part. I freaked out at one part because I have a personal connection with one of the parts of this movie.
Ah, yes. Okay. I'm actually very excited for you to talk about that a little bit.
It's gonna be weird.
So how do you want to get into this discussion?
Oh God. All right. So usually I start us off by talking about this, but about a whole page of me talking about it is no, why, fuck this movie, I hate this movie, dear God, why did you make me watch this? So you're gonna have to do step by step for this one, and I'll just kind of interject. Okay. I was okay for the first page, and then you lost me.
Well, so this movie opens with gorgeous aerial cinematography of South America. We just get this sprawling, beautiful landscape at I believe it's sunrise.
Yeah.
We're seeing the helicopter fly through mist, and it's just beautiful.
Did you catch that the executive producer on this is Steven Spielberg?
And I did.
I also saw Kathleen Kennedy's name.
Yes, Kathleen Kennedy was involved in this one.
Yeah, and then she went on to take over Disney. We're not happy with Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah,
we're gonna wait until we get to points with that woman. I don't hate her, but I'm disappointed. But anyways.
To be fair, Kathleen Kennedy has had a very long and illustrious career throughout Hollywood. She was involved in many things. This included Back to the Future. She was involved in a lot.
Sure, when she was younger, she made really good judgment calls. Now, not so much.
No.
So what I thought, after I saw Steven Spielberg as an executive producer on this movie, then I saw the sprawling shots and everything, and I'm thinking, do you think he saw the beginning of this movie and went, these shots would look beautiful for Isla Nublar and Isla Sorna for Jurassic Park?
Was this before Jurassic Park?
Yes, Jurassic Park didn't come out till 1993. This is
Possible.
1990. So I'm like, Congo, Jurassic Park. Look at all these directors going, ooh, I'm going to take this, and I'll take this, and I'll take this. Glad you left the spiders out of it, though, kids. Because holy fuck. That's all I have to say.
So the opening sequence of this movie, it introduces us to our main protagonist, as well as the scientist character that we're going to become more familiar with later on. But something I noticed was that this movie takes its time to like really draw out that opening.
It is so slow in the beginning, but I'm okay.
I like it.
It presents like, here's what happened. Here's detailing how this happened. Here's detailing how, like, one, I love how it paces itself in the beginning, but once you get to the point where like the spider is now in California and like all that, you're like, why is this so slow? But in the beginning, it was fine because you wanted to know, like, how in the fuck does this fucking Venezuelan spider get to this fucking small town in California?
Well, that's the thing. The idea is so kind of unique that...
Unique, but not that far off from what could happen.
Right.
If you're not careful, if you don't check things properly, you could bring back an animal, a fruit, a bug, something that you're not supposed to bring here, and it could cause chaos to the ecosystem in America.
Exactly. And like, I think taking the time in the beginning to really show you step by step how this fucking spider got here, is important to this story.
But they made the spider really fucking smart, which is terribly disturbing.
Yes.
Like, I'm gonna pick the weakest link out of the group. Oh, no, you're dead. Now I'm going to hitch a ride. Like, what?
See, but that's an element that I think is important to the just narrative aspect.
It's like a predator-prey thing. Like, a predator would do this.
Yeah, you need to make the villain of the story just a little bit smarter than it should be.
Yeah, but giving a spider brains? No!
Well, they gave sharks brains in Deep Blue Sea.
Never seen it. I've also
It's
never
in the
seen
wheelhouse.
Jaws. So
I think it's in the wheelhouse. Is Deep Blue Sea in the wheelhouse?
I don't know. Let's see.
I kind of want to cover that if it is.
Is the movie What year is the movie Deep Blue Sea made? 1999.
Yes.
God, I hate open waters. I love the ocean. I love Lovecraft. I love mysteriousness. Me, open water. This is all about phobias today, and I really hate it.
Yes. And arachnophobia, not the movie, the actual phobia, is a very, very common one.
It very is. Like, I don't have arachnophobia. I just don't like spiders. I don't like something this small could fucking kill you.
Yeah. And because it's so common, that's definitely a good reason that it should have been a movie, and I'm glad they did it.
Yeah. And to be fair, we live in an area of the country where we have brown recluses and we have black widows, but they don't present themselves very often.
No.
Like, the worst thing we can get in a house is a centipede.
Well, we can get wolf spiders. Those are pretty painful.
They're painful, but it's not going to kill you. Like, a wolf spider hurts. I've been bit many times because I used to go camping and I used to do all that shit. But I'm more afraid of deer ticks than I am of spiders around here. Deer ticks are no fucking joke around here. Because we live very close to Lyme, Connecticut. Not going to get into that one. But anyways.
So throughout the early moments of this movie, we're introduced to the spider. Slowly. They don't ever really...
They don't reveal it right away.
They don't fully reveal it. They play a lot with shadows, silhouettes, and, like, other methods to obscure it. Like, I love that they show it moving beneath cloth, and, like, it's always obscured in some way. The only time we get a good shot of it in the opening is, like, the dead one, or what you thought was a dead one.
Yeah.
And it's, like, all curled up, so you can't see any details.
You know what the most painful thing about this whole movie was? When I was looking up, like, actors and stuff and kind of Googling, like, a certain fact, I saw that they used over 200 real spiders. And any of them that appeared dead were actual dead from natural causes. That big boy spider, he was called Big Bob.
Yes.
He was an actual bird-eating tarantula.
Yes.
Oh my god. The cast must have had arachnophobia after this movie. That means all those little spiders crawling around were real.
It's funny you actually bring all this up because there have been interviews with the actors obviously since, and Jeff Daniels claims that he was fine with all the small spiders.
Yep, I saw that.
He acknowledges that anyone in their right mind would have issues with spiders as big as Big Bob.
Yep.
But John Goodman wasn't fazed at all by any of them. He was like, I don't have a problem.
That's why he was perfect in his role. He was just like what?
And they approached this movie with the safety of the spiders as, like, absolutely paramount. They went so far as to, during the scene where John Goodman's, like, has, like, the standoff with the spider.
Yeah.
He sprays the spider. It's not real insecticide, obviously. And they even gave him a dummy shoe to where when he steps on the spider, the whole bottom of the shoe is cut out so he doesn't actually step on it. The spider just curls up inside, and then that's it. They use a fake spider for the crunched one. But
coming from somebody who, anytime, like, we already had an issue last night where we caught a new friend and had to release the new friend. We get a lot of friends in this apartment, i.e. mice, squirrels. Once we found a bat, an old job. But we always make a point to catch and release, or catch and bring it to a wildlife. So it feels nice that the safety of the animals or insects that were involved were paramount. Like, that's a big deal to me. Like, I don't like spiders. They're creepy, but I'm not going to go out on my way and kill a spider. No. I even tell you, catch and release. Catch them and release them. Like, because spiders are extremely important to an ecosystem. We have bad mosquitoes. They'll eat those motherfuckers. Like, they'll eat all the bad bugs. So I'm totally game with spiders, but so creepy. So creepy. Oh my God. The way that they catch or they set up the traps and the way they catch all the bugs to study them in Venezuela was interesting, but I hated the fact that he said, oh no, they're all dead. I hated that a scientist's point was to kill these.
Yes. However, at that time, early 90s, I understand that you're going into uncharted territory. You're just trying to figure out what is there. So they essentially do it to just one tree.
Yeah.
They spray down a tree with this chemical, this insecticide of some kind, and all these insects fall out. And
oh, look at all the butterflies.
Yes, but
that broke my heart.
You're trying to make discoveries. You're trying to find dangerous and like identify dangerous insects.
They did a piss poor job in this movie.
Oh, they do a terrible fucking job in this
That
movie.
dude was a dick. Just saying.
Did you have something to say?
So, the spider hitches a ride in a casket because he kills the guy who has a fever. He's very sick. But he sees him as the weakest link out of everybody. What do predators do? They pick off the weak. He saw him as weak. He was definitely like, okay, I can definitely take care of you.
Yeah.
That's why I thought it was very important for them to emphasize, oh, I was stuck here for a while. I've had a fever, which leads to not my favorite line, but one of my favorite lines. Be sick on your own time. That was pretty like dick. But he goes to lay down after the whole thing. And the spider just fucking hack right on his stomach while he's trying to sleep and he's sick. Spider's smart. Spider is very smart.
That was another thing that right from the jump, this movie made very clear, and I loved that they did it, was that how quickly and how deadly this spider is.
The minute it bit him, it was 2 or 3 seconds and he was dead.
And instantly convulsing.
Like, the minute
dead.
you're like, oh wow, that hurt, you were gone. Didn't matter. But it was kind of like emphasized the severity of what this poor little town's gonna go through, which it's like, oh god. So it hitches a ride back to, what was the town's name? Canaima, California. Small little town. And when it gets there, it goes to the coroner's office, obviously. And what does the spider do? The spider escapes.
Of course.
The spider escapes through a doggy door. You see a dog and a cat run out of the door, and the spider escapes through the door. Then a raven picks it up, flies with it through the air, gets bit, dies, and it lands at Jeff Daniels' brand new property, which he just moved here.
So, that's a good point. This movie, made in the early 90s, it comes with 90s cheesiness. Which, exactly as you said, like, I love how the spider arrives at the exact moment they pull up to their new house for the first time. It's something that you just kind of have to overlook with early 90s movies. They did a lot of this, like, perfect timing bullshit. But you also have to take into account that this is a dark comedy.
Yeah.
And something that really I made note of here on this one, but I've noticed for a long time, is that in the early 90s at least, maybe the 90s in general, there was a lot of emphasis on mild dark comedy.
Yeah.
Where they, like, this movie, you could look at this and say, this isn't a comedy, but
oh no,
all the comedy's downplayed.
There. Yes.
And they let the horror and thriller aspects kind of run the show, but the comedy is there in dialogue. It's there throughout.
Oh my god, it was just threaded, beautifully threaded throughout it.
Oh, it's perfect.
So now the spider's there. So they're moving into their new house. And the moving company that's moving them, I notice on one of the hats and the boxes is Paul Arp and Van Lines. Paul Arp and Van Lines was established in Rhode Island. I and my mother have worked for Paul Arp and Van Lines for years. And I believe, I'm not sure, I tried to fact check it, I'm not sure. The first dude, I didn't recognize the first dude. The second dude, I believe, is one of the owners, David Arpin. Seriously, because I looked at him and went, I think that's David. But I laughed because I worked for Arp and Van Lines since I was 14 years old. My mother started working for them in 1994. So when I saw that hat, I went, what? I know them. I worked there for years. I fucking lost it. I'm like, I know those boxes. I know that. It's now called Arp and Van Lines, and I believe, I'm not 100% sure that it's not an operating main van line anymore. I believe because of just a lot of truckers. There's not a lot of truckers out there that want to move people. Like, the whole industry's kind of not collapsed, but it's gone down over the last like maybe 10 years. So seeing this when they were at the peak of like their, like they were a huge company in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Seeing this was a big deal. Like, this to me was like, wow, that's how huge this company that I worked for was at one point. Like, while I was working there, we celebrated 100 years of being in operation.
Jesus Christ.
They started in the early 1900s. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm not 100% sure, they were an ice delivery company. So they would take that big box of ice and they deliver them to people. Yeah. And then it slowly became a moving company. And from there, that's just how it always has been. I'm not sure. I worked for them for a long time. I used to know a lot of facts. I don't know a lot of facts anymore. So if anybody knows what I'm talking about, sure, fact check me in the comments. But I really think the only people that can fact check me is like people that work there for years.
You got incredibly excited when you saw
because
this.
That's cool. Like, this little company from Rhode Island, well, not really little, they were huge back in the 90s, enormous, that I worked for like well over almost a decade and a half. Like, that was pretty spiffy. But unfortunately, they're not around as much anymore. Like, they dropped the Paul, they're just Arpin because one of the kids took over. It was David and Peter. But yeah, no, that's my nerd facts for the day. I was really excited. And then we jump to, oh, here's the house. We're moving in. Oh, we decided to trade in our big city lives for, you know, small town life.
Which I think is a cool, element
concept.
To this movie. Is like, you're essentially taking characters that are already out of their element and thrusting them even deeper out of their element.
Brand new, just getting involved. The dad, I believe his name is Ross, played by Jeff Daniels, is supposed to be taking over the town doctor's position, but he decides, oh, I don't want to retire, so fuck you, basically. Like, almost, I would say 90% of this town is just a bunch of arrogant assholes.
Well, you also have to take into account it's an isolated small town.
Yeah.
So they're a bunch of people who are set in their ways, like somebody new from the big city who they're gonna assume
arrogant assholes.
Yeah, think they're better, and it's a cool juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Which I actually have to derail myself a little bit. This movie has so much juxtaposition in it throughout the entire thing.
Sweetie, what's the definition of juxtaposition for me?
So juxtaposition is essentially juxtaposition is essentially when you have two things that are like contrasting each other.
Okay, all right.
So like, for example, most people in a small town think that people from the big city are arrogant dicks.
Oh, they're dicks, yeah.
But in this circumstance, the small town people are the arrogant dicks. So it's like a contrast of what you would actually expect from stereotypes, essentially. But throughout this entire movie, there's so much of this. Like, I wrote down a couple of examples here. As Ross is introduced to the town, during this little party that
Margaret
throws
throws
them,
a party for them. Yeah.
we see that the spiders are making their way out into the world.
Yes.
So it's like the two sides of the coin, the antagonist and the protagonist are both being introduced to the town at the same time. There's a good juxtaposition between the fact that the spiders come from this deep Venezuelan isolated part of the jungle.
Yeah.
And the whole movie is set in this small American town. Like, it's two vastly different worlds smashing together.
Yes. Like, the spiders were in an isolated town where, like, they only knew what they knew. But then you go to a small American town where they only know what they knew. So it was like the town and the spiders were running like this. And then you have I almost said Jeff Goldblum. Wrong one. Jeff Daniels and, like, the Margaret character, like, going neck and neck until they converge.
Exactly. And the last example I put down here is it's perfectly beautiful and comical that it's the first night in the new town, and the spiders and Ross and his wife both decide to consummate.
What was with that? What was with that? That cute little... They take this little spider that they found in a box and brought it out to the barn. And, okay, here you go. Live in the barn. No problem, And Ross says, well, it's bad luck not to have sex in the new house in the first night. And it's Ross and his wife starting to kiss. They're going to, do the, whatever. And then you cut to the spiders doing the tippity-tappy thing. And you're like, are the spiders going to fuck too?
It's the comedy. It's comedy elements. Like, that's perfect.
That's a little stretching it.
But it's
it was
funny.
Like, I'm sitting there. I went, spider sex. Wait, what's happening? Spider sex?
And that's actually something that Frank Marshall aimed for with this movie. Like, his whole goal was for this film to be like a Hitchcock movie, specifically The Birds.
Yeah.
But he added that people like to be scared, but laughing. It's kind of like a roller coaster.
I want to have a talk with this man.
No one wants to be terrified. So, like, his whole idea was that, like, yeah, you're going to be scared because it's fucking spiders, but he wove enough comedy throughout so you'd still get breaks of laughter.
I politely tell you to fuck off, sir.
Now, keep an open mind.
So, we now have the spider sex. We're introduced to Margaret. He goes to, Jeff Daniels' character goes to the town doctor, and the doctor's like, I don't want to retire. I'm going to stay here. And it's like, he was like, the whole point of me moving here and talking to you 4 months ago was for you to retire and me to take over. Now I'm not doing it. Because he's afraid of the big city doctor. Like, you can see it. Like, there's already, like, this wicked push.
Yes.
So then you introduce to Margaret, who tells the town sheriff, who is giving him a ticket, basically to go fuck himself. Like, stop, go fuck yourself. Which is hilarious. And she's like, I want to be your patient. Which leads to one of my favorite, like, things that Jeff Daniels said with, like, that Jeff Daniels, like, Dumb and Dumber face. His wife goes, how's your new patient? Tragically healthy. It was very, like, only I feel like he can deliver a line like that, like, tragically healthy. I mean, Jeff Daniels, one of my favorite movies that he ever did, and you're going to be shocked, is Gettysburg, where he played, the nerd hat's going on, Lieutenant Joshua Chamberlain of... It was a Maine, but I don't remember the number of what the regiment in Maine was. And he was responsible for the Hook pattern, like, defense on Little Round Top in Gettysburg. He portrayed this character. Yeah, you're giving me the eyes.
Holy shit.
Yes. I don't love the Civil War, but the information based on the Civil War, I was obsessed with it as a kid. I love Gettysburg. I love Gods and Generals. One of my favorite movies growing up, minus all of the racism, which we'll get to that movie, is Gone with the Wind. Like, I like the stories, and I like the history behind that time period. I don't like the bad stuff, and we'll get into that eventually, because I know for a fact that Gone with the Wind is one of those movies people's like, you can't watch that anymore. But it's like, yes, but I can still appreciate good cinema. It was one of the first huge hits in movie cinema. We'll leave it there. But Jeff Daniels' character in that movie was heartbreaking, and he played alongside Thomas C. Howell, who was his second in command. And then you get to, I saw Gettysburg first, and then you get to Dumb and Dumber.
See, but that
the range of this man is great.
That showcases his range so well. Like,
so when I see him in this, and I go, your next fucking breakout movie is with Anna Paquin with geese. I think it's Come Home or Going Home.
Fly Away Home.
Fly Away Home. I never remember the name of that. I loved Jeff Daniels. I had such a crush on him for that movie. So watching him in this, I'm like, Jeff Daniels, Spider.
Dude, Jeff Daniels.
He's an amazing actor.
I'd go as far as to say he's one of my favorite actors.
I would say top 10. Top 10 male.
Absolutely crushes any role you put him in, whether it be heartfelt drama like Fly Away Home, dark comedy like this, or
straight comedy like Dumb and Dumber.
Comedy like Dumb and Dumber.
Heartbreaking.
The Newsroom.
That first opening scene of The Newsroom.
He destroys that fucking role throughout all 3 seasons of that show, and I fucking love him for it.
You've shown me a little bit, but the first time I was introduced was when my friend Joe went, watch this. And the question is, why do you think America is the greatest country in the world? And he fucking annihilates that whole room.
Oh
He's
my
playing
God.
a character, but he has this seriousness about him that I'm like, is this for real? Like, I thought it was a real news clip until I was like, this is a fucking show?
I fucking love Jeff
displayed
Daniels.
such passion delivery. And whether he believes that line or doesn't, whether, you know, he was just like, I'm just acting a part, or I'm speaking this from my heart, that man is such a good actor.
Oh.
Such a good actor. And holy shit.
I
could gush about Jeff Daniels forever. Forever. But I will say, after all the serious stuff I watching Dumb and Dumber, I went, aww, I don't like this as much. Because he's such a good actor that I'm like, acting like a doofus.
See, but that's the I love that he can switch off the seriousness and go to complete lunacy.
Well, I didn't appreciate it until, like, now that I'm in my 30s. Like, when I was younger, I was just like, Fly Away Home was such a good movie. Why did you do this? This is so stupid for your career. But I didn't understand. Now that I'm older, I'm like, your range is fucking beautiful. You're an amazing person. Never change. I'll Keanu Reeves him. No, you're beautiful. like he and Keanu Reeves are like, they're floating up here somewhere. We got to get back to the movie. I got to save that. That's probably my favorite scene. So then we're back to the wife, Ross's wife, discovers that there's a giant spider web in the barn.
So Ross's wife in this movie, I just want to sidetrack slightly to talk briefly about her.
Yes.
I
recognized her, but I don't know her.
The actress's name is Harley Jane Kozak. She's been so many things, like many other people in this movie. Most notably, I can try and bring up a couple things here. Most people would know her from Parenthood. She's in When Harry Met Sally. She plays Helen.
I own that movie, never seen it.
Let's see, God, the Red Queen. She plays so many fucking parts. Stargate SG-1 she was in for a while. She's in a Titanic miniseries. She's a very popular actress from the 90s.
Yes.
In researching this movie, I saw what she looks like now. She used to be so beautiful.
What happened? No.
She looks like a fucking train wreck.
No.
Her main picture on IMDb is like, ooh, what happened?
I mean, people get older, sweetie.
I know, but damn. Age hit her hard. Yeah.
I mean, she doesn't look doesn't look that bad.
She doesn't look great, and I'm not making fun of you by any means if you happen to be watching or listening to this, but
she's 64. I mean,
yeah,
age comes up on you pretty hard.
But
like,
I feel
I'm starting to notice.
I feel like everyone else in this movie aged pretty gracefully.
I saw a picture of Jeff Daniels, what he looks like now. He looks like Indiana Jones' Last Crusade. After the dude drinks out of the wrong cup and he's starting to like melt, he looks like that.
I don't think he looks bad.
He doesn't look bad, but he's starting to have that like I'm aging.
Yeah, but it's like the same as John Goodman. Like you look at
No, John Goodman looks amazing.
What? Because he lost
He
all
looks
the weight.
the same.
By the way, John Goodman in this movie is fucking amazing. I love him. I love him in everything he does. He kicks ass in this.
Do you know who he reminds me of? Like the character he's like portraying a little is the. Excuse me, I believe you have my stapler. He like
oh my God.
reminds me a little bit about that, but I know that movie came later.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and Dwight from The Office, like that very weird kind of like
zany.
Yes,
yeah.
like that's what he reminds me of. But I feel like that's what he was going for.
Yes.
And I'm laughing because I know John Goodman from Roseanne from The Conners. I know he was in the Cloverfield, the second one.
10 Cloverfield Lane.
10 Cloverfield Lane. Never seen it, but I want to.
Really good.
He's, fucking Big Lebowski, man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. But, like, he has that, I expect him to blow up and start screaming at any moment in any movie he does, which oh, my God. We could gush about most of this cast.
We can,
really
and
could.
we probably will. Did you know that this was the first film released under Disney Hollywood Pictures?
I'm looking at this going, why does this thing remind me of Disney? There's like, oh no!
She's fucking up the set now.
I am. I'm fucking everything up. Well, that's probably why Kathleen Kennedy was involved with this.
Disney Hollywood Pictures was created by the studio system to release more adult-oriented content. And I think this is a good fit, personally.
I'm gonna go out of frame for a minute. There's my butt.
This definitely fits under that label.
I hate this. I absolutely hate
What?
this. I didn't know the spiders in the middle of the moon. I've never seen this up
I
close.
love that cover. The one you're holding, because
Yes.
the VHS doesn't have that.
No, it doesn't. Like, you can see the difference.
But at the same time, I love that VHS art because it doesn't show you the spider.
It doesn't. This one does.
At all.
God, this is early Blu-ray. It's just a blue disc.
I know. But look at that. Like, it's literally just a picture of the town at night. It doesn't show you any spiders. It is so cool.
Oh, God. I have to say, I like this one with the spider just singularly in the moon. But yeah, there's something about original VHS art.
It's very minimalist.
Yeah. We appreciate minimalism here.
Where the hell were we?
So we get to the part where the wife goes into the barn. And she's taking pictures of the barn. She's kind of like getting inspiration. You can tell she's an artist. But they said that she was a former stockbroker too. So I wasn't sure, like, if she was a dedicated stockbroker or if she was an artist or anything.
That's an interesting element that's in this movie. The first victim is a photographer.
Yep.
And then you find out that Ross's wife, she was like a stockbroker. She worked in an office setting, but she's taking this opportunity of moving to a small town and starting a new life to focus on her passion of photography.
Yes.
I thought that was really interesting.
Why is it interesting?
I don't know, maybe you connected a little bit with it?
This movie was about spiders. No.
Come on, buddy.
No, don't buddy me in this one. We're not even at the point. I'm gonna back this up still. We're not even at the point where I'm really gonna start getting mad. Ugh. So creeped out. Anyways.
Where did we leave off?
So she finally is like, Ross, come out to the barn. I want to show you the spider web. So as we're walking there, he talks about the incident.
Yes, and they lay on Ross's fear of spiders
Trauma.
pretty heavily here.
The incident was, and this is just cliff note, when he was 2 years old, he was traumatized by a spider. The spider crawled into his crib, walked up his leg, and was on his chest. He was paralyzed with fear. He's 2 years old. Whatever. But my exact notes are, why are you allowed? Why was it big in the 90s to like push people into their trauma? Like, it's a big thing. A lot of movies were like, oh, you're afraid of this? This traumatized you?
Well,
No.
it's a good storytelling point.
It's a good storytelling point, but you're also traumatizing the person.
Well, yes, but the idea from that was also to try and confront your fear.
Yes.
And I do agree with that method. I think it works for a lot of things, but
maybe I'm just mad because I hated this movie so much.
I think you are just a little bit angry.
Oh my god. Oh. And then we see, after he leaves the place and everything, we see the pulsating egg sac that the spider sex has developed, has created. Yes. Dear Lord, it looks like an alien brain just sitting there. Oh God.
I think it's because we're starting to get towards the like really getting into like them going into the town.
Yes.
I think they do a really good job in this movie setting up that small town atmosphere.
Yeah.
They don't focus heavily on it, but you get it through the characters. You get it through.
You get it once
little
Margaret throws
interactions.
the party. So when she's throwing the party. This is the next part we're at. We're at her party and you see this lady who just keeps drinking. You see the coach of the football team and these are my kids, blah, blah, blah. And you're introduced to Ross's kid's friend, Bunny, who is the daughter of the coach, and she's like this butch fucking, she wants to be a Green Beret, and she's like teaching the kids how to fight. Which I was like, okay, you got your tough people. Then you've got Margaret, who's the sweet little old lady. Then you meet Metcalf, who's the doctor again, who like shafted Ross on the position.
Yeah.
But he's like, oh, you're a good guy. Here's this so-and-so. Here's so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. And the party goes really well. Everything does. One note I have is Spider Cup does whatever a spider cup does. Because they drink, put the cup down, and then the spider just keeps walking off with the cup, and I'm like, yeah, spider cup.
There's actually a lot you get from this party scene, because you also have the parents of the photographer that dies in the beginning.
And that's the lady who is drinking too much, and then you get to the point where you're like, oh, why does this lady just keep drinking? And then it comes like, they wouldn't even let me see him, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, they're like, oh, what's this about? Like, they don't understand what it's about, but then you slowly start to see where Jeff Daniels, by later in the movie, is putting the pieces together and to understand what's going on.
I mean, it helps that you have the coroner who's kind of like laying out the story for you a little bit in that sequence.
But it paces the story very well.
It does.
I will say this movie is paced very well. It gives enough character development. It gives you, I wish there were a couple of characters that were a little more fleshed out. Like Margaret, when she was like, this is getting ahead a little bit, but she picks up a picture frame and she's like, I missed you. You would have loved to be there today. Is she talking about her husband? Is she talking about a kid? Like, I wish they would have fleshed a little bit of her story out more.
I think you're meant to assume it was her husband.
But I liked her. And I was like, oh, why her? But it makes sense that in order for him to gain the Dr. Death tag, which now the whole town at that point, a little later, this getting ahead, is afraid of him. It was the reason why they had to establish Margaret as this nice woman, you're new here. Come on, let me be friends with you. I'll be your patient. I'll throw you a party. Let's change your image. It was perfect, but it was like, oh, Margaret, I liked her. So after the party, we see everybody go off on their own, and we see Margaret in the house getting ready for bed. One of the spiders wanders in. Spider Cup wanders in. Spider Cup plays a very big role. Like, Spider Cup lasts almost all this whole movie,
Surprisingly, considering they do mention that the spiders have short lifespans.
Yeah, and he's in 2 cups. He's in a party cup. Yeah, he's in a party cup in the beginning, and then he gets fancy, and then he gets in a wine glass.
Well, all right.
Yeah, he goes from broke ass party cup to bougie party cup. Come on, Spider Cup. But you get to the point where it's like, oh, okay. He's already examined her. She's very healthy. He took her off medication that he doesn't believe she needs to be on. Metcalf is, we get a little ahead of ourselves. So then, she's in the home. We're watching her and the spider do this unknowing dance. And when she goes to turn off the light, Spider gets her. And she's gone instantly.
Unfortunately.
But something bothered me about that. So when they find her, when Jeff Daniels' character Ross finds her the next day, she went click to the light. How did she end up behind the couch on her stomach?
Oh, well, they don't show you exactly what happens, but you're meant to assume that she probably got bit, started to feel the reaction, because it takes a couple seconds when you seize and everything.
But I don't think it would click. Oh, like
No, I think
she probably
the spider landed and the light goes out and it cuts away. So I think the spider bit her. She probably reacted to the bite, got up, started to feel the effects, and like maybe went for the phone, fell over. That's why the phone was off the hook. The light
That's true.
fell.
Okay.
So you gotta kind of
I don't know. The
fill in
dots
the
just
gaps.
didn't connect enough for me. It seemed like they were a little too.
I think it was enough.
Yeah.
Personally.
I pay attention to that shit. Like, continuity is big to me.
Yeah.
Like, don't be like, oh, here, I'm in this blue shirt sitting in this chair, and the next thing you see, he's in a red shirt halfway across the screen, and you're like, did nobody fucking check this?
God, I can't wait till we get to some really bad shit.
Oh my god, I'm gonna rip them apart. So then unfortunately, Margaret dies, and they said, Metcalf says, oh, she died because you took her off her blood pressure medication. She died from a heart attack. This is all your fault. Now, he's getting a reputation as being a bad doctor, big city doctor, and he's like, no, I want an autopsy, which in the 90s was a common practice when you weren't sure if someone died from what the examiner would be like, oh, okay, this is what she died from. No, I don't think so. Let's examine it further. She was a healthy person. And Metcalf is like, fuck you, not happening. You're a big city doctor. Go home. Nobody wants you. Like, it sort of sees the town turn on this man.
Yeah.
And it's like, because you're not willing to open your mind to new medical practices and you want to keep things the way they were, you're just, a body comes in mummified from South America and you're not going to ask questions? Just be like, oh no, well, whatever, put it in the ground. They didn't even ask questions when he died.
It's a small town. I mean,
I know, small town mentality, but I hate it. I hate it. I hate it, Ted. Your eyes went wide.
Yeah, to derail a little more, because we're just gonna keep derailing this fucking train. I just learned that Jeff Daniels, when he came on board to this movie, it was a serious horror movie. Like when he signed on to play Jennings,
yep.
It was straightforward. But I guess he did an interview at some point with Philadelphia's Daily News, and he said that originally it was very formulaic. That you could tell that the dialogue and everything was like it felt like it was written by computer. Like it was just very rigid.
Really?
And he got together with Frank Marshall, and they kind of settled on that they wanted it to have a more ironic tone. And that because of that conversation, the script went through a lot of revisions, and they studied Hitchcock films, and they studied Jaws. And
okay,
that's what they used.
The prey versus predator thing, yeah.
That's what they used to get the right tone. And one of the key changes that Daniels wanted for his character was that he would be afraid of spiders, because that wasn't originally in there.
No, and I mean, the incident was laughable, but it solidified that this man is going to have a problem in this movie. Like, if this was a real straightforward horror movie, you wouldn't even have got me to watch this.
No, I think it's so good that it's kind of
comical. Even like got a little bit of ironic satire to it. Like, oh, hey, look at this serious moment, and then, spider gets trapped under a cup. Oh, my son died. I didn't even get to see him. And you start feeling stuff, and all of a sudden you watch a spider walk away with a cup. Like, what is happening? Like, I'd understand. So we get to, now they're in the house, and Jeff Daniels' character Ross is a wino. He wants a wine cellar, so he's setting it up, and he's checking all the beams and stuff. and the beams are bad, and he's shooting holes through the floor, and he almost stabs his son and his wife with a nail gun.
Yes.
What made you think that was a good idea? Like,
which part?
Oh, look, they're just playing upstairs. Let's just nail gun it. I just thought it was stupid. This is where we're introduced to John Goodman's character.
Well, before we actually get John Goodman.
Oh, God.
So as he's shooting these things through the floor, he realizes that the wood's rotted.
Yep.
He runs upstairs. He's like, oh my God, I could have killed you guys. And he's like, the whole basement's rotted. He's like, I'm surprised we haven't fallen through the floor.
Dun, 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 dun.
Foreshadowing.
There's a lot. There is so much foreshadowing.
There's a lot.
My favorite foreshadowing was when the scientist guy is twinging the web to get the spider that he brought back from Venezuela to come get the dinner.
Yes.
And I'm looking at that going, now why would a director show us that exact scene? Is it because dun 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 foreshadowing?
Of course. A lot of 90s
I
movies.
hate 90s obvious foreshadowing.
90s
It's like,
movies
oh
weren't
God.
Subtle. They were not subtle.
They
at
weren't.
all.
But
I also just learned that, in case you hadn't guessed, Kanaima's not a real place.
no, it's
Of
not.
course.
I've never heard of Kanaima.
But I did not know that Kanaima is the name of the avenging spirit of the Guyana Indians. It's also the name of the area in Venezuela where the beginning of the movie was filmed. And is which is home to the world's tallest waterfall, Angel Falls. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
It's a cool use of that name.
Interesting.
Fun facts, ladies and gentlemen.
Fun facts.
Have fun with them. Continue.
Don't ever do that again. So, we see him come in. He's like, oh, wow, we have termites. He's like, no, it's bad wood. What do I do? Replace bad wood. Just, John Goodman's character is just like, well, this is obvious. Duh. Like, the whole movie's like that. He's just like, what do? You fucking fix it? What do you want me to tell you? Like, he's so funny. So after that, we're introduced to John Goodman character. He gets better later on. We see that the football coach's daughter is friends with his kids, or the youngest daughter. He gives him.
I want to stop you because you're jumping a little bit over something.
What did I jump over?
No. So
that's where my notes go to, unless I skip something.
You said that we're introduced to John Goodman after
we're introduced
the
to John
rotted
Goodman.
wood
Yep.
thing. John Goodman did a interview in GQ back when this movie was coming out, and let slip that during filming of one of the long shots of his character driving up in the exterminator truck.
Yeah.
Producer Steven Spielberg sat in the passenger side footwell just out of view of the camera. And he quipped to John Goodman while shooting this shot, "Only we will know that I was there." So Steven Spielberg is technically in this movie.
But he's not in the shot.
But no one knows that he's there. I fucking love this.
Dun 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 dun. Sorry.
That right there tells me that they had fun making this movie.
Yes, you could. There were over 200 live little spiders,
and they protected all of their lives.
I hate this movie, but I'm so happy.
Oh, hang on.
Oh no!
Another fun fact about Spielberg here. One of Spielberg's
fucking dude.
One of Spielberg's conditions for agreeing to executive produce the film was that the role of Delbert the Exterminator be played by John Goodman. He directed Goodman in the movie Always from 1989, which released 7 months before this one, essentially. Frank Marshall, who
He was the director.
also Frank Marshall produced Always.
They just swapped?
And worked with Goodman on that film and immediately approved. That's pretty cool. So John Goodman wouldn't be in this movie if it wasn't for Spielberg.
Okay.
Wow. That's fun. I like that.
So this tells me that between scenes, they were fucking having a ball.
Oh, yeah.
They were just acting like fools.
Oh, yeah.
Especially the final scene. I can see Jeff Daniels being like, acting like a damn fool in that last scene.
Oh, my God. All right.
Give me bloopers. So we get to the point where the coach of the high school football team is giving Ross work. So he comes in and he's examining all the football players. But the only scene we get from this is, all right, boys, drop your pants, drop your trousers. We're going to do exam. And Jeff Daniels goes down the line where he goes, now cough. What?
So
I know this is a comedy, but it's like, is this a real practice?
It's not
Grabbing
necessary.
dudes' balls and coughing?
Yeah. I mean, that's part of physical.
But it's just like right there, all of them lined up, drop trowel.
So I think that was something that, like, used to happen.
Yeah.
Like, because you wanted to make sure your players were in good health.
Yeah.
So, like, that was something that maybe they used to do. I don't know. It never happened to me. But, I think that moment is more there. It's just for the comedy, because right after we get another kill.
Yeah, we get the spider ends up in the helmet of one of the players. He goes out there, takes a tackle, spider bites him behind the ear, and the kid's dead. Drops dead. Conveniently after Ross has just examined him. All he did was grab his nuts and say cough.
Yeah.
But now they're calling him Dr. Death because he is the last person to examine two people. But to me, it makes me laugh. It's like, I don't think just grabbing somebody's balls and coughing is a full examination.
Well, I think the name Dr. Death also comes from the fact that he wanted, like, autopsies. That was kind of frowned upon in this town.
But it makes sense. This kid was fully healthy running around on a football court. He's like a 16, 17-year-old kid. And he drops dead. Like me thinking maybe it's a modern day brain. Yeah, I want an autopsy. Yeah, I want to know what happened. My kid just dropped fucking dead. What could be the possible reason for my healthy teenage kid to just be like, do.
Small town, old world aesthetics.
God.
So following this scene, I believe we go home with the coach.
No, not yet. So the next scene is Ross goes home, and the girls, his daughter and the other girl, Bunny, they're going to the coach's house because the daughter's going to sleep over. And he freaks out if you see...
No.
Okay.
No. Okay.
We're both skipping something.
We have to backpedal a little bit because we skipped over the doctor getting bitten and dying.
No, not yet. That's after.
No. Because they don't discover that spiders are involved until the doctor dies.
Oh, so it must have been right after this. Okay. All right.
And
yeah, because he complains that he's like, he wanted to autopsy that young kid and there was no reason to.
Yes. And I have to make a note here that so once we discover that spiders are possibly involved in these people dying, the pace of this movie quickens.
It does. It goes very quick.
Things start to blend a little bit.
Because now the protagonist and the antagonist are like, they know about each other
converging.
now. They're converging really fast.
The two separate threads of the story are coming together now.
Literally, the web is intertwining. Dun, 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 dun.
But yes, so
the doctor's we cut to the home where the doctor and his wife is in bed reading a magazine or a book, I'm not sure, and he's on a treadmill doing his exercise, and they're quipping back and forth, complaining,
bitching about Jennings.
Oh my god, bitching about Jennings, and the wife is like, he's just doing his job, and dude's like, no, big time city dude, doesn't know how it goes around here. And we see the spider crawl into the house shoe Metcalf. And Metcalf, the wife's like, the floors are cold, wear your house shoes, duh. And he's like, oh, you're always white, puts his foot in there. It bites him on the big toe. He collapses over. And the wife goes, oh, it's just a small spider. And it's really like a spider about this big. It's not a big spider. And he's like, no, I'm having a seizure. Call 911. Call 911.
Call Jennings.
Calls Jennings. And he's already dead before Jennings even gets there. Like, it is that fast. Like, this thing bit him on the toe. The dude's still warm.
Yeah.
And he's dead. He's gone. He's dead. Which, now he's like, okay, now this guy wants a full examination. I'm not sure who the character is that agrees with him. It's not the sheriff.
No, he's I believe he's like the county medical practitioner or whatever.
And he's like, whatever you need. He was not on board in the beginning, but now he's like, no, you're now the town doctor. Whatever needs to happen. Let's go. Let's do this.
Well, I think he kind of agrees with him when the results come back that say that like there was a toxin that was unidentifiable.
Unidentified toxin is what got them.
So he's like, all right, it might be a killer spider. We can't rule it out.
Yeah. So then he comes back home, and his daughter wants to go over to the coach's house because she's friends with Bunny, to sleep over. And he freaks out and tells them, girls, if you see spiders, run. Don't kill it. Don't go near it. Just run. He is losing his mind because now his arachnophobia is, they said the movie, his arachnophobia is peaking. He's now worried about his family. He's worried about the town. Like, he's not sure what's happening. So we get to the point where now he's like, we need to exhume the other two bodies. He's connecting the dots. And then he sees that the toxicology, there's definitely an unknown, untraceable kind of toxin that's in there. Nobody knows what it is. And he just happens to call the foremost...
it's not like happenstance. We see him doing research, like the cricket scene.
Yes.
He actually circles the guy's name. Like he
does
finds
circle
him.
it, but he doesn't realize right there's an actual connection with this. I don't believe he realizes that the dude that passes away, that's mentioned that the kid passes away in South America and they came home.
No, I think he finds him because he's the foremost expert
on spiders.
So it just so happens that there's the connection, but like we at least see that he doesn't just stumble upon this guy. He's researching,
actually
he
researched
finds him
for it. And it wasn't until they're having a conversation and his like assistant Chris,
yeah.
He sends Chris, not himself. This is why he's a douchebag. He should have gone himself. He sends his assistant Chris down there to investigate.
Yeah, but this is standard procedure for anyone working on like deep research like this. You're gonna go if it's needed, so you have to find out if it's needed first. You send an assistant.
I think it's a douchebag move.
I mean,
douchey move.
Maybe it's just because I work in the film industry, so you're gonna send like a PA before you go yourself as a producer.
I don't know. I think if you're invested in the movie, you go yourself. You want something done, you do it yourself. But before we're jumping ahead, we go to the girls hanging out at the house, and there's a scene where the girl knocks the doll over and the spider's coming down. And it's just the doll's eyes open, and the spider's reflection is in the doll's eyes as it's coming down. And it's just a reflection of the spider coming down.
Attention to detail.
But it lasts like 5 or 6 seconds. It lasts a while, and it's just a cut like spider, doll, girl, spider, doll, girl's foot. Like it's like, oh my god.
They're building that tension.
Sitting there, this is the exact pillow going like this to him because I am done at this point. I am losing my mind. I'm like, ah. My next note is, fuck you, this fucking movie. And then we get the booby scene. There's no actual boobies, but there is boobies.
This next scene is, I think it's one of the more tense scenes in the entire movie.
Because you are so vulnerable when you have your pants off.
Which is funny, because like you go from tense scene with the little girls to tense scene in the shower, tense scene on the toilet.
With the daughter taking a shower, and it's literally like crawling on her face as she's washing, going down. You see the spider cascade down her tits. Here, this part of the boobs. And then she looks down and it's just a spider and she's like, ah, ah. The comedy is she's screaming, the dad and the brother walk in and she's like, ah, like I'm more concerned my dad is seeing me naked than a deadly spider can kill me.
Well, at that point, they don't know that the spiders are deadly.
No, but then there's another spider in the toilet while the dad is in the downstairs bathroom using it.
Yeah.
His pants are down too. And I know for a fact, dudes don't really just rest their nuts on the seat. They go down. They dangle in the water. That spider could have been like, balls. Can you imagine dying because a spider bit you on the nutsack?
Oh, that would suck.
Or the tip of your penis. Can you imagine, like, oh, God, oh. No, this pillow, poor thing. I have beaten him today because it's just, This is the point where I after this scene, lost my mind. I am not coherent. This has to, I'm looking at the fucking screen capture of the recording. It is bad. I gotta back this shit up.
Right after this shower scene, of course,
John Goodman's called.
Yep, John Goodman's called to the scene. He investigates for spiders. I love the scene. It's like we see John Goodman come out of the house and he has like this Mexican standoff with a spider. It's so cool. We actually talked about this already.
Yes.
But it's just funny. It's this humorous little moment.
That's why he so gently does it too. Because you watch him, he doesn't go, he's like this. But it's slow and methodical, like someone who deals with this shit all the time would do.
Yes. And fun fact, they actually got the sound effect of the crunching of the spider there. The Foley artist just crunched a couple of potato chips.
Honestly, that makes sense. But have you actually stepped on a larger spider?
They crunch.
Oh, they crunch.
Oh, they crunch.
Oh, they're...
It's that hard exoskeleton.
Whoa. Oh, God.
But we're rapidly closing in.
Yeah. The
on
end
the
scene
climax.
is coming up. Yeah.
Following this, they go to the whose house is it?
The coroner's.
No.
No, they go to Margaret's house.
Margaret's house.
Because
that's
they're
it.
like, okay, the spider must still be in Margaret's house, and this is where they find Spider Cup.
Spider Cup, yes.
They catch him with, and this is where Jeff Daniels' character starts to kind of try and pull himself out of his arachnophobia, because the spiders are smart enough, they can see what's close to them. So they're like, okay, like, you're a threat to me right now. He's not a threat. You are. You're closer. So he's like, you need to walk closer to the spider so he'll trigger you and I can catch him. Jeff Daniels' character is against the wall like,
I'm scared to death.
But you can see him switch to like, I've got to do this to save him. Because this poor guy, Chris, is going to die if this thing lunges at him.
Yes.
So he walks close, the spider sees the other guy, he's caught. Done. That's it. So after this part, he calls Alverson.
The spider expert.
The spider expert. He calls him and says, nope, you need to get down here. Like, this is serious.
We got 3 people dead.
Got 3 people dead. Like, this is not good. All right, so he gets down there. They have the specimen. They examine him. They inject it into a mouse. Poor little mousey.
Yep, the mouse dies immediately.
R.I.P. mousey. Like, they take a minuscule amount, and this dead mouse just keels over within, like, not even a second. This mouse is gone. So he's like, this is the same dosage that...
No, he said, Jeff Daniels says that he bets that the toxin is deadly at even a fraction of what they gave the mouse.
Yes.
Which is terrifying to think about.
Terrifying, because that mouse, like, literally, it felt the prick and it was gone. That was it. Like, holy shit. But they did make a point to say that no mice or no spiders were harmed in the making of this film, so it makes me very happy.
Yes.
Because I like little white spider friends. They're little white mousy friends, spiders. You can go fuck yourselves. So then they're like, okay, we gotta figure out where it originated from. So they're at Ross's medical office, I believe, looking at all this.
Yeah.
Because the exterminator, Chris, and Ross went to the coroner's because they think, oh, it started at the coroner's. Let's start there. Then we have this scene of the coroner and his wife sitting down with a bowl of popcorn to watch Jeopardy. And they're all lively and excited and having a good time. And the next shot is Ross and Chris going into the house and they're both dead. And the spider Comes out of his fucking nose.
Yes.
Oh, but it's a fake. You can tell the dude's a dummy. You can tell it's a dummy. But when that spider came out of his nose, I lost my shit.
You gotta make note, early 90s, those were pretty good dummies.
Those are really good dummies.
Well sculpted.
I can't. I lie. Okay. Center coming back. Oh, God. I put munching while looking at the bodies. Oh, because the coroner, when he's coming in, the coroner's such a fucking dude. Man, he's so funny. He's coming in. The other ones are like, they
he's
just
eating
exhume
potato
these
chips.
bodies. These bodies are disgusting. They're decomposing. And he's just like, hey guys, whatever you need. And I'm like, I cannot eat another Lay's chip without thinking of death at this point. Oh, God. Oh, God. And then we've gotten... Okay, I got a little ahead of myself. I know I got a little bit ahead of myself because I have a note that says, I feel you, Jeff. I fucking feel you. Where he wakes up in the middle of the night and he sees a spider on the wall. Oh my God. And he is losing he's balling up a newspaper and he's going for it and he knocks it and it's a hook on the wall.
He doesn't knock it.
No, he does. Oh, that's right. He doesn't knock it. But he gets there and after he moves his perspective a little, it's a hook on the wall.
You know what I thought was clever about that? The way they edit that scene. So, like, you start out, he's in bed, and then they show you the wide shot of the spider on the wall.
Yep.
And it's like, oh shit. And then they stick with him. Like, they do a cut back and forth so you can kind of really get it.
Yeah.
And then they stick with him as he gets up, rolls up the paper, and they actually follow him as the camera moves around, and then you see both him and the thing on the wall.
Yeah.
And I love that they didn't cut back to the spider shot again, because in that wide shot you can very clearly see it's not a spider, and it's just before he notices that it's not a spider, so it gives you a second to be like, oh, that's not a spider. I don't know.
He's like, oh, I feel stupid.
I thought it was cool,
but I think that definitely puts home this is a dark comedy, but there's a real danger of all of these people dying.
Yeah, but it's also a very relatable scene, because how many times have you done that?
We have a full fucking skeleton sitting over here on the chair. On a dark red chair. There's a full skeleton with sunglasses and a coffee cup because he's drinking coffee with us. I've gotten up to pee so many times in the middle of the night, walked out of the bathroom, seen him and gone, oh.
It's just Joe.
It's just Joe. But he scares the shit out of me because it wouldn't put past me for this house to have some sort of weird haunting with all the crazy ass shit we've got in here. So I know I'm not crazy because it's just Joe, but holy shit. All right. Oh yeah, because I have the thing. The note here where Jeff Goodman goes, yeah, that's right, I'm bad. After he shoots
John Goodman.
I'm sorry. John. They're all confusing. Let's see.
That's right.
All right. Bad. Then we get to the scene where this is cutting a little bit back, where the professor or the scientist is coming out of the office with the sheriff, looking at the pictures going, where is this? He immediately recognizes the web.
Yes.
Because it's the same web that the spider made in his office and the same webs that were in South America. So he's like, we need to go there. So he goes there, he finds it. Like, oh, this is where it was. One, I have a question. Why all the fog?
Because it just looks good.
It looks like there's an alien abduction happening with the spider movie.
Fog is an atmosphere choice. They do it in movies because it looks good on film. And I don't blame them. I would use it if I could.
You want to use it.
It's sick.
You want it for the house.
Yeah.
Can you imagine coming home and just having a low
it's just
fog?
Always low-lying fog.
If we have pets, they're going to be like, how do you do this? We don't have pets, so it's fine. That's my favorite. That's my favorite line. I can't. So then it's the professor going up the stairs, seeing the web, and then you see there are larger squirrels, a whole fucking cat, all these insects, everything. but there's no other spiders around, which indicates, and he explained it, and Chris explained it, the lair is always going to be protected by the queen and the general, to where there will not be any other spiders, no matter if they're their children, because they are prey at that point. They will kill them. They are enemy number one. There's no other spiders. So the professor goes up there, and the dumbass twings the web. Bing, bing.
Dinner time.
And he says, "Come and get it. Dinner time."
Okay, so the only... it is stupid.
It is stupid.
It's stupid for a character to do something like that, but the only way I can justify it is the fact that he's a spider expert. He thinks he knows better. He's trying to catch it. I get it.
But he even said himself, they caught one of the drones. I can't imagine how big the general would be.
By the way, and I'm going to bring this up now because we're closing in on the final moments of this movie.
The final scene.
And this is like one of the bigger scenes where you get to see the general. But the animatronic general in this movie, which it was mostly an animatronic minus a few scenes,
yeah,
few
where
shots.
It was Big Bob.
The animatronic general, which is prominent in this shot, this scene, is one of the earliest prop jobs done by Jamie Heineman, co-producer of Mythbusters.
No way!
Yes, he created the general.
He did say that he worked on a lot of Hollywood stuff before he became Mythbusters.
And this was one of the first things he did.
I wonder if he wore the beret and had the silly little stash.
He's always had that.
Oh God, I just want him to shave. He looks kind of weird.
But I think that's really fucking cool. Like,
that is funny. That it's Jamie Heineman's. It is fun. All right, now we get to the point where my notes are just fucking gibberish, and I'm... Excuse me while I back this thing up a little more.
Yes. The climax of this movie, for me, is one of the hardest things to sit through about it.
Even you were doing the...
Because it is... Like, I try to imagine myself in that situation. Like, they go...
Why, man?
They go to try and rescue his family.
Yep.
They go into the house, and then we start to see spiders coming out
they're
of...
watching Growing Pains.
They're watching
so it's
Growing
fucking,
Pains.
It's fucking Michael J. Fox on the screen with all of these deadly fucking Venezuelan spiders crawling, and I'm like, oh, God.
But we start to see spiders crawling out of, like, every conceivable hiding space.
Doorknobs, pictures, like vents.
They're crawling from behind furniture.
Oh my God, they're everywhere. It was like, oh, we are waiting for our opportunity to just strike. Sorry, I gotta put him back.
But it makes me squeamish every time, and I still like it. I think that's terror. That's fear.
That's just fucking frightening. That is just
really is
horrible. My note is, fuck, I wouldn't dare see this in theaters. Crawling in the sink, in the door handles. Now I'm itchy. Fuck you. Oh my God.
So they try to escape the house. There's spiders everywhere.
The kids and the wife get out.
Kids and the wife get out. Chris gets out.
Ross,
Jeff Daniels,
unfortunately,
stuck.
has to like fight the spiders. Tries to get out. Falls over the banister, and what happens?
Falls through the
floor.
floor into the basement.
And the basement is quiet.
The basement, the spiders, we notice, aren't going in.
Nope, they stay away.
Because he is now in the nest.
Yep.
Which I made note, and I think is one of the smartest decisions they did in writing this movie, because the basement is also Ross's wine cellar.
Yes.
Which he mentions is his dream.
Yep.
Is to have a functioning wine cellar. I thought this was so clever for an early 90s movie, because it is like his greatest enemy has taken over his dream. I thought that was so cool. And like, I don't know. I think that's such a great thing for his character.
It is. It's a lot of character development, because this last scene, there's a lot going on. This last scene is boom, 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 boom. The last scene is he falls through. He's doing this and then realizing, There's no spiders on me. Oh shit. Chris tells him in detail what's going to go down when they find the nest. And then he realizes
it'll be dark.
It'll be dark.
It'll be warm.
Musty. It'll be warm. No other spiders will be down there. You'll be in the nest. It will be the queen and the mate, which is the general, and you will find a nest.
Yes.
And he looks up, and there's the nest inside of his wine cellar.
Yes.
Oh my god.
And this thing is, they described it earlier on in the movie as being the size of a softball.
Yeah.
This thing's like a fucking basketball.
Because, in my opinion, like the first one, when the spiders leave the barn.
Yeah.
And then you see them travel into the basement where his wine cellar is. And the queen is carrying a softball-sized nest.
Yes.
It's only this big that she's carrying. And it looks like the spiders have been getting it on. And it's a lot bigger.
It's huge.
And it's terrifying because it's pulsing and it's oozy.
Yeah.
So the fog and the alien thing, not too far off. But then we have one of the funniest scenes where he just fucking hits the queen and she gets stuck in the electrical thing and crispifies herself.
That was the other one.
Yeah, that was the queen, not the general. The queen was the smaller one. The queen he killed first.
Was it?
Yeah, because he had it out with the general at the end.
Oh, I thought that was the... Alright.
Nope.
Okay.
He had it out with the queen first because the queen was the smaller spider.
Usually it's the opposite.
It is the opposite, but remember, the general got it on with a domesticated spider, so it was smaller. So even though that spider looks like it kind of got jacked up on spider jizz, maybe? I don't know.
Spider jizz.
Spider jizz. Marvel doesn't want that. Do you think that's what the web is? It's spider jizz?
Oh, God.
You're caught in my web of love.
Anyway.
Oh, wow. He killed that quick. So then he's like, okay, cool. Nope. Now you're only seeing the general in shadow at that point. You're seeing legs. And it is fucking terrifying. Because now he's like, where are you? I can hear you. Where are you? And this thing scares him so much, he collapses into his wine.
Yeah.
And he's trying, he broke a bottle of champagne. He poured it all over the nest. He found a flare or like a
it's
clicker,
one of those like
a butane lighter.
Yeah, like a grill lighter.
Yeah.
Like it's got the long
He
stem.
was gonna light it, but that general is like, nope, not without a fight. You already killed my wife. I'm a little pissed. I'm gonna go after you.
And this motherfucker is big.
He's this big.
This is a huge spider. I forget how big they actually say he is.
Oh.
Hang on. He is...
Oh.
Shit. I just had it. I think he's like 16 inches.
That's like that.
He's a big fucking spider.
Can you imagine what that venom does to you? The small spiders, his venom, like, look at that corpse in the beginning. He drained that corpse of everything.
So, yeah, like you mentioned at the beginning of this, the general is played by Big Bob, the spider, who, oddly enough, they nicknamed him Big Bob after Robert Zemeckis.
Aww.
Which is hilarious.
That's disgusting.
But he is a 15-inch
he's a 15-inch
spider.
bird. He's a bird-eating tarantula.
Bird-eating tarantula, yes. 15 fucking inches.
They're beautiful, by the way. They have like some of the brightest fuzz that's like red and orange and it like shimmers. They are gorgeous. If they're gorgeous, stay away.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. Nope. So, it then ensues one of the craziest fights between an arachnid and a human being. Like, he's fighting with this spider.
Yeah.
He gets a can of aerosol something, and he's flaming the goddamn thing. And, I mean, I'm not going to go into much detail because this might be my favorite scene. And it might be my favorite phrases ever in this scene. But holy shit, Jeff Daniels. He's surrounded by fire, a giant spider. He's just gotten the shit kicked out of him. And then the final standoff is Big Bob crawling up his leg like the incident.
Which is beautiful. Like this
Coming full circle.
This final moment, it forces his character to relive and overcome his greatest fear.
Yep.
And it's perfect. Like, it's so well done. I love it. I love everything about it.
He flings the spider into the fire, and then the spider comes back out of the fire, and he nails him with the fucking
nail
gun into the fucking nest, and it burns.
Fun little thing I always notice every time I see this is like right before all this, like, he shoots the spider into the thing, you start to see the thing hatch.
Yeah.
Little spiders are coming out, and you see that they look different than all the ones we've seen before.
Yep.
These are the ones that can breed on their own, so that they're like colored different. They're hairier.
Bigger. They're hairier. Their legs are longer, and it's like, oh dear God, if you would have let these things live, it would have been done. Game over.
Goodbye, U.S.
Goodbye, U.S. So then, John Goodman's character comes downstairs and goes, "You're welcome." What did you do?
Because he's pulling them out. I get it.
But he just battled the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Yes.
Oh, God. So...
one of my favorite things, though, they pull him out of there. Basically, it jumps ahead in time. The family has moved back to San Francisco, back to the big city life.
Yep.
And it ends on a beautiful note that nothing is ever going to be perfect.
Because they have an earthquake right there. Which, the scene where they're coming into San Francisco and you can see Bay of San Francisco and they're flying, that is almost the same shot for the beginning of the 1994 film, Interview with the Vampire.
That's a very popular shot.
It's a very popular shot, but every time I see that shot, I go right back to Interview.
Because they also use, in the daytime at least, they use it in Zodiac.
Yeah, which we've seen so many times.
Yeah.
We've actually fallen asleep to Zodiac.
I love that movie.
Which is a little sadistic.
I love David Fincher. Literally anything that man does is fucking amazing, and I'll watch any of his movies 10,000 times over.
Repeatedly, yes.
But I'm sure we'll discuss that more.
So that is Arachnophobia.
Yes.
Now I can bring this a little closer. I'm calmer.
Those are, that's the movie in a nutshell. Those are basically step by step what you can expect from it. I think this movie is really well done for an early 90s movie. What are your overall thoughts on it?
I hate this movie, but I cannot say I hated the pacing. I love the pacing. I love the characters. I loved how developed it is. It's a great movie. I still fucking hate it. I will never watch this movie again. I have avoided this movie since I've heard of it when I was younger, because I was like 5 when this came out. I heard of this when I was like 9, 10 years old, and everybody's like, "Oh, you should watch it. What, are you scared?" Yes, I'm fucking terrified, Timmy. Shut the fuck up. No, I'm not gonna watch this. I'm 36 years old. Ugh, no. It's a good movie, though. We like this cover better. It's a good movie, though. It's a good movie. I need to calm myself down. I'm riled up. I gotta... Whew. We should get into the next part of this.
Overall, I've always loved this movie. When I was a kid, I really liked it because it was something that felt very realistic in terms of the special effects. Like, they're
practical.
I think they blend the practical spider stuff with the real spiders so well. I can obviously tell what moments are an animatronic spider and what aren't.
That's a sign of our times now. Like, we can point out all this shit, but back then, you really couldn't.
No, and I think this has one of the best animal insect
those spiders
wrangling.
Listen really well.
Like, the timing, like when Margaret walks into the house and it does that pan down and the spider crawls in after her, is seamless. Like, you'd think
That's a real spider.
You'd think they'd have to do an edit to cut in tighter. No. The spider really crawls in right on cue. They do this movie so fucking well with wrangling all these spiders and getting them to move the way they need them to move and react the way they need them to react.
Now, I wonder how many takes some of these took, because the spiders probably don't act that way.
No.
There's got to be a lot of takes, but I mean, eventually it could take 20, 30 takes, but you might have the take where, oh, that's perfect, buddy. Good job. Give me a little high five with your little leg. Like,
I think this is one of my favorite 90s movies, for sure.
I know. I've talked about Interview with the Vampire too many times to that one's my favorite 90s movie. We'll get there.
I think it's a lot of fun. Like, it's funny, but not in your face comedy.
No, it's very subtle.
It's subtle. It keeps to its roots in like horror and thriller. That tagline on the front of the movie says it pretty well. It's a fucking roller coaster ride.
Whoever put 2 thumbs in fun, you're a fucking maniac. Just saying.
I think every movie that Spielberg touches is like, it's in the contract that you have to put 2 thumbs up on it.
Do you think they put 2 thumbs up on Schindler's List?
That's a good fucking question. Maybe.
That's a little tacky if they do that.
A little bit. Favorites.
So my favorite line is, "A web would indicate an arachnoid presence," by John Goodman. And my favorite scene is Jeff Daniels is trapped under his wine cellar stuff, and he's trying to get the spider to go away, and he's throwing wine, and he picks up the 108-year-old Cabernet, and he's like, "Not the Cabernet," and he's tossing everything, and he moves this wine bottle, and it's the bottle of wine that they're drinking when they're back in San Francisco. So they did salvage, like, they did stop the fire. They were able to save the house and some of his stuff, but it just, seeing him like chucking wine, and he goes, "Not the Cabernet," like he's still like, "Nope, this is still my dream. You're not going to ruin this for me. I'm just going to get rid of you." Perfect. It summed up the terror, the comedy, and just the sheer, I'm getting through this, asshole, and you're not.
I actually didn't write down any of my favorites for this one. In terms of dialogue, I didn't have like any super like favorite lines. I think my just off the cuff favorite line would be "That's right, I'm bad."
Yeah.
From John Goodman. That's hilarious. Favorite scene is absolutely the climax. Like, just that big final confrontation between him and the spiders.
That, fucking 32 years later, this still makes my skin crawl.
Yes.
Knowing it's a movie and how just ridiculous that final scene is.
And I think it's what sells it and what makes it still so impactful is because they use the real spiders.
Yes.
Like, if they had used all fake spiders somehow, it wouldn't have worked as well. And I think it kills it.
Just knowing that they had over 200 spiders on set, I'm just like, oh, like, oh god, oh.
Does it work?
I'm gonna reel myself back in. Yes, it works as a dark horror comedy. It does. It's terrifying. You don't make a movie like Arachnophobia and not expect the reactions you're getting from me. This is what this director wanted. He wanted oh, that's funny. Like, that's what he was going for. I know it. You have to. You cannot make. Oh, like, I'm so riled up. You cannot make a movie like this knowing I am going to make somebody so scared they're going to shit themselves in the theater, and that's great. It does work. It's a good movie. I fucking hate it. It's a good movie.
I absolutely think it works, of course.
We have to disagree on something someday.
We will. I think this absolutely works. It definitely still gives the reaction that was intended.
100 years from now, I want to know if people are still like,
still skeeved out.
Skeeved out.
And I think they will be. Like, yeah, it's not realistic in the terms of, like, because of the comedy elements, it's not gonna impact the way something like a pandemic movie will. Like,
I mean, that's really real. This also could be really real, but we have not lived through something like this.
But it's an extreme circumstance of really real.
Yeah.
Like, this movie, it definitely, it's gonna make you squeamish. Like, even for somebody who's not afraid of spiders, like, I'm not afraid of them.
I'm not,
but I don't want
I'm
them
not
on
that
me.
afraid of them, but this just makes me go, clean the house, burn everything.
Yeah.
Go, like, if I see a spider, it's like, nope, I don't need anything in the house. Done. We're done.
Yes. Would you recommend it?
No. Nope. I have a huge amount of friends who don't like bugs. Don't like bugs. It's a great movie. I'm not recommending this to anybody because I have one friend who probably will not even listen to this because we talk about spiders. What about you? Would you recommend this?
I would absolutely not recommend it to anybody with arachnophobia. I would recommend it if you want a movie that is actually going to give you a reaction.
Yeah.
Like, if you're somebody who is looking for something that will give you some type of either fear or like, if it's gonna physically affect you,
one hell of a rush of an adrenaline because I'm so freaked out by
yes
it. Like, you can see me visually, I'm like not handling this movie well.
And I would recommend it if you're looking for that. If you are a fan of Jeff Daniels,
oh god,
definitely
John
check
Goodman,
this out.
any of these actors and actresses, definitely check this out.
If you like 90s movies, check this out.
This is as 90s as it kind of gets.
Yeah,
this is a very good representation.
Prime example.
Cheesy, corny, practical, all the above.
How would you make this today?
I would not. Leave this where it is because CG would be a hell of a way to go with this movie. And I love the fact that it's all practical, that there's real spiders being used in this. Don't give me CG. Don't give me that crap because you can do anything you want with CG. Like, the CG spiders that I know really well are Shelob from Lord of the Rings. And then I know that some of the spiders in Harry Potter were practical. Like, because they were animatronic practical. But, like, there was a lot of CG in that movie, too. I'm not a big fan of CG. I'm not. It's appropriate in certain elements, but when you have something like that majority, that much, it just... Leave it in the 90s. Leave it alone. This is great. Like, stay your creepy little eight-legged asses in the 90s. Nope. No remaking. Nope.
I wouldn't ever try to remake this. I think it's perfect as it is, personally. I think if somebody did try, it would unfortunately be done with CG. It would. They'd probably push it way too far over the top. It would absolutely ruin it.
They would make it an actual horror. I don't think they would add the comedy to it.
The thing that makes this movie special is the fact that it's all practical. Everything is done without computer assistance. It's all real spiders, real animatronics, physical fucking elements.
Yeah.
And honestly, the only thing I might have done differently about this movie is towards the ending when they get Ross out of the house, I may have had them actually like stand and watch the house burn to the ground, rather than just offhandedly saying, "Oh, the spiders that he didn't kill are dying." I would have actually just let them all burn in the house. Like, I think visually that would have been cool.
It would have been a little much for the 90s movie.
But I think that's it. Like that, because especially since they moved back to San Francisco anyway.
Yeah.
I'd be like, all right, that just gives them reason.
I would have loved it if when they go back to San Francisco during the earthquake, one of the spiders would have crawled out of the box.
It wouldn't have made sense with their timeline.
It wouldn't have made sense, but I would have just been like, but just be a normal little spider.
But I like that there's no sequel bait.
No, there's no sequel bait.
Because that would have been sequel bait.
Yep.
This, they don't give you that, which is like, all right, let this movie exist on its own.
Yep. One and done.
Is this exploitation or other?
It is exploitation of 200 plus tiny little spiders, but they were not harmed. So yes.
I wonder how much these spiders were paid.
They were paid in like moths and fucking crickets, man. They ate all the crickets in the town. They were hungry. They were
That
happy.
was a really That
was a very nice touch, though.
I loved that element that
when
throughout
they
the
moved
entire
in,
thing.
they're all we can hear is the crickets at night, and it's lovely. And as the movie goes, it's like I haven't heard crickets in a few weeks. Like neither have I.
Actually, I think that's one of the early shots of the movie. Is I think it's like during the or right after the spider sex thing.
Yeah. Ugh.
Is I think there's like a wide shot at one point just outside of Jennings' house, and you hear the crickets stop.
Yeah.
And that, like, I love that element where they keep bringing it up. It's like we haven't heard crickets in Canaima. It's like the impending dread that's coming.
When crickets think there's predators near them, they stop.
Yes.
So then the crickets might have just hopped away and left, but then you're thinking like, oh, did they eat all the crickets? Like, what?
Or did they just flee?
Did they just run? Because you saw the beginning with the first, when we're introduced first to that spider coming out of the casket from South America. The dog fled and the cat fled.
Yeah.
The bird, unfortunately, was like, oh, lunch. Death. Like, that bird was fucked the minute he saw that thing, so.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is not an exploitation film. It's just a creature feature horror comedy from the 90s.
Yeah.
We haven't even begun to scratch the surface of exploitation. I think we've only covered 2 real exploitation films so far.
Yeah.
With a close... no, I'll say 4. I'll give it 4 if you include our first 2 episodes, Texas Chainsaw and Pieces.
Yep.
So we've done 4 actual exploitation films on this podcast, but personally, I wanted to give our audience that we're hopefully slowly growing an introduction to the podcast and to us by covering movies that are well known.
Yes.
With a few that aren't. And I think hopefully soon we'll start getting into the real meat of Grindhouse.
We are actively looking for actual Grindhouse movies.
Yes.
I've actually purchased one that I hunted down. You have purchased
several
during
they're
a
coming.
Beautiful sale.
Yes.
Gotta love Black Friday sales.
Gotta love Arrow Video.
Oh my god. Like, you got quite a few, and you know, we're actively hunting down actual Grindhouse films. I actually want to find ones that are more geared towards what I like, and he's always going to find the horror, the macabre ones. You always are, because that's who you are.
Can you imagine if Arrow Video sponsored us?
You would shit yourself. I'd be like, cool.
Man.
Woo. What would we do with all that sponsorship money? Tapes.
We buy more. It would go right back to them.
We actually, today we went to our storage unit, which we have a lot of stuff because our apartment's really tiny. And we had to get some Christmas stuff because it's Christmas time when we recorded this one. Yay. And we looked at the boxes of movies. I would say about 60% of our storage unit is just boxes of movies.
We have a lot of movies.
I don't even know what I own because every time we go out looking for tapes, I just buy the older tapes. And you aim for, is it horror? What do we got? Like, you're trying to actively look for James Bond movies right now.
If I find them,
like,
I
it's
grab
one of
them.
those like, ooh, that's a good one. So we're looking for those tapes.
Yeah.
For Christmas, you specifically said, I want videotapes for Christmas. I want films for Christmas. And I've actively been telling friends, like, if you got old movies, we would love to take those off your hands. If you got old tapes, we will take them. Because we want to find as many Grindhouse genre or anything. Just we're going for, these are mainstream things we're picking. Now we're trying to actively go, how off the beaten path can we get?
You know what? I'm going to extend that to any of... Sorry, I hit the mic. I'm going to extend that to any of you who are listening, who are watching. If you have old movies you don't want, hit us up.
Yeah.
We'll take them off your hands.
Anything.
We might buy them. If you want to just give them, I'll take them.
Yep.
I'm an advocate for salvaging physical media. And I honestly, if you have stuff that we can cover, great. If you want to just help us grow our collection, send them our way. We want them.
The point is, we're going to cover them on the podcast, but we also want to salvage physical media. It's the reason why we still buy records. I buy physical CDs, physical books. I don't own a Kindle. I have a subscription to YouTube Music, but literally everything I listen to is on my shelves.
Yeah.
In my big ass fucking $19.99 CD case that is a good 60 pounds. It's fucking heavy.
Yeah.
But we want to preserve physical media. Everything's very digital. We both have professions. I'm a photographer. He's a filmmaker. They're very saving digital content heavy. But I also like having that in my hand. You want it in your hand.
That tangible,
graspable.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can read a Kindle. That's great. But God forbid anything ever happens to your computer, your laptop. Like, yeah, someday we won't be able to watch this because something will happen and we can't.
Yeah.
But we have it. We have the physical media sitting here.
It's history.
Yeah.
It's a piece of history that I don't want to forget.
You always want to preserve history. And right now, preserving history for our day and age is preserving stories, preserving film. Like, you couldn't preserve film or music and stuff, like, so you can see and hear it back then. Yeah, you have books and you have people's accounts. But, like, we can show you, as an example, last week we watched Meet Me in St. Louis. You can see what 1930s America thought of 1908 America. Yeah. Like, it's awesome. Like, we have these legends, these actors, these actresses, these ideas on physical media. We're going on a wicked tangent with this movie.
It's okay.
But, like, I personally hated this movie, but I can appreciate it because, like, the scenes where they're at the party, the late 80s, early 90s fashion, the way people treated each other, the cars they drove, just the lifestyle. It is even different 30 years later.
Yeah.
Almost 40. No, this movie's almost 30 years.
1990.
1990. So. I was thinking 1980. What did I think was 40 years earlier?
That was something we were talking about earlier.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about it at the storage unit. I was like, wait, this is 40 years? Oh no, the 80s.
Yeah.
The 80s are... Some of the 80s are 40 years old.
Yeah.
And you think to yourself, oh, the 80s were only a couple decades ago.
Nope.
No. And I swear to God, when we hit to the point where 1980 was 50 years ago, my heart's just gonna sink. It really is.
But boy. I think that's gonna bring our discussion today to an end.
Yes, thank God. No more spooters.
Don't go anywhere, please. Stay tuned for the coming attractions.
Casablanca, city of hope and despair, located in French Morocco in North Africa. The meeting place of adventurers, fugitives, criminals, refugees lured into this danger-swept oasis by the hope of escape to the Americas. But they're all trapped, for there is no escape. Against this fascinating background is woven the story of an imperishable love and the enthralling saga of 6 desperate people, each in Casablanca to keep an appointment with destiny.
I was willing to shoot Captain Rhino, and I'm willing to shoot you. All right, Major, you asked for it.
You knew how much I loved you. How much I still love you.
I know a good deal more about you than you suspect. I know, for instance, that you're in love with a woman.
Perhaps a strange circumstance that we both should love the same woman.
What do you want for Sam?
Don't buy and sell human beings.
That's too bad. That's Casablanca's leading commodity.
You can ask any price you want, but you must give me those letters.
That's all.
I tried to reason with you. I tried it. Now I want those letters.
This is a hell of a choice to follow up Spooters.
Oh, God, yes, it is. You give me Arachnophobia, I'm giving you classic Hollywood. Humphrey Bogart. Oh, my God, wrong name.
Ingrid Bergman.
Oh.
One
of the most famous lines in movie history.
Here's looking at you, kid.
Oh.
I have not seen this movie since high school.
It's probably been... probably high school, which is a lot longer for me than you.
I took a film studies class in high school. This was one of the movies that we discussed and watched. Yeah, it has been quite a long time. I'm actually somewhat excited to watch this again.
I've seen this movie twice, and it's been years, and I'm really excited to see it with this analytical movie brain that you've installed lately. And I love these two. Humphrey Bogart.
Humphrey Bogart, watching him is always a treat. Like, he was one of those infamous noir stars. And this is, first and foremost, it's a film noir. I remember it being beautiful.
This movie is beautiful. And you know what? I've heard a lot of people talk about it should be colorized. Don't you fucking dare. Leave this in black and white. It is beautiful. It is timeless. It is classic. It's not a movie that I'm like crazy about. But this movie, when people are like, what do you think is one of the greatest old golden Hollywood movies? Casablanca. It is just... It's going to be a change from Meet Me in St. Louis.
Yes.
Thank God.
And I'm a sucker for black and white. I love how it looks, and I hope to make a black and white movie someday.
Someday.
Somewhere. Far, far before the rainbow.
Oh, I get it. Before the rainbow.
Yeah.
Is that a dig on Technicolor? Because it should be.
I like Technicolor, don't get me wrong.
Oh, God, it's so shifty.
At the same time, I like black and white.
Yeah.
But yeah, that wraps us up. Where can people find you on the internet, Leah?
Where can they find me?
Yes.
Well, we are at Facebook, Grindhouse Podcast. Find me personally?
You specifically.
Me specifically.
This is your moment to pitch yourself.
Hey, so I have my Instagram, which is Leah Diana Photography. They can find me there. I have another one, but that's my personal one, and let me tell you, the photos on there are stupid. They're one-liner and dumb. You don't want that one. I also run the Discord. I love running the Discord.
Discord can be found, I believe it's just Grindhouse Podcast.
Yep. And we'll put it in the descriptions with the link to join. I don't have much, so I have a Twitter.
Do you actually use it?
I have Leah Diana Photography.
Okay.
I've used it once. Where can they find you?
You can find me. I am on Instagram and Facebook. Instagram, I believe it's overlook.film.
Yeah.
Facebook is just Overlook Film, I'm pretty sure.
I think so, yeah.
I don't give out these tags enough. But for
I have
all
no
your
friends on mine.
for all your video needs in the New England area, feel free to hit me up. If you're looking for movie recommendations, coffee recommendations, if you want to check out our film collection, see some behind the scenes, or just chat with us a little bit, we are on Facebook and Instagram at Grindhouse Podcast. We're on Twitter at GrindhouseCast. As she said, we're on Discord. You can chat with her, hang out with Leah a little bit. If you're enjoying listening to the podcast and you want a more visual experience, subscribe to us on YouTube, where you can get every single episode in its entirety with video. Listen to us, give us 5 stars on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or wherever you get your morning fix. New episodes come out first thing every Monday morning, bright and early at 6 a.m. Listen to us. Let us join you on your ride to work. Maybe when you're at work. I don't know what you do. If you like what you're doing and you want to support us, find us on Patreon. All that information is going to be down in the show notes. But until next week, I'm Shawn.
I'm Leah.
Thank you for listening, and keep watching.
Good night, kids.
The shocking nature of many scenes in this film, it is definitely not recommended for the squeamish.